Lurking in the gloomy depths of a Scottish lake is a legend of mythic proportions: the Loch Ness Monster. Despite today's sophisticated surveillance and thousands of sightings over the centuries, it continues to escape detection. Now, scientists are honing in on the real dragons that haunted the deep 100 million years ago. In Scottish folklore, an evil spirit dwells in Loch Ness that lures unwary travelers to their graves. Scotland's St. Columba saw it 1,500 years ago and crossed himself for protection. Since then, 10,000 sightings have been reported. Paleontologist Mike Benton of Bristol University in England has taken time out to look into the story of the mysterious beast that lurks in the lake.
For centuries, mariners have reported giant creatures that would come from the depths and would seize their ships, plucking mariners from the decks and crushing the boat and pulling it under the waves. Well, last century, a giant squid was pulled from the Pacific with tentacles 70 feet long, so that at least was one sea monster that turned out to be real.
It's not surprising that a lake, hemmed in by brooding hills, worn smooth by ancient glaciers, should produce such a haunting legend. Laden with peat, its murky water makes underwater sightings virtually impossible. 24 miles long, 1 mile wide, Loch Ness is one of the deepest lakes in the world, ideal for a monster in hiding. 150 million years ago, the Jurassic was a time of giants. On land, dinosaurs 60 feet tall were coming into their own. Pterosaurs ruled the air. And in the sea, colossal reptiles, among them 3 heavyweight contenders for the Loch Ness Monster.
First of all, there were the ichthyosaurs. These were dolphin-like animals which could swim very fast, and they fed on a variety of fishes and squid. Secondly, there were the mosasaurs. These were overgrown lizards with strangely hinged jaws that could grapple with their prey, and some of the mosasaurs were very large, as much as 40 feet in length. There were the plesiosaurs. That's the most popular candidate for the Loch Ness Monster, with its long neck and long tail, and some of those could be truly gigantic as well.
These fantastic creatures did exist. Could one of them have pulled off the great escape from Jurassic Park? Two centuries ago, these bleak and treacherous cliffs at Lyme Regis on the southern coast of England loomed over a vast prehistoric world yet to be discovered. No one dreamed sea monsters could be real. But one day in 1810, young Mary Anning was scouring the beach, looking for fossil shells to sell to support her widowed mother. Although she had no formal training, 12-year-old Mary knew enough to recognize the unusual bones protruding from the cliff. They belonged to the first complete skeleton of an ichthyosaur ever found. no one appreciates the significance of the discovery more than paleontologist Hugh Torrens.
It's nice to be following in Mary Anning's footsteps. I've been coming here for 30 years, and I'm reminded on a day like this of how extraordinarily dangerous it is. You look at the cliffs, see how fragile and delicate they are, and you are, I think, struck that a young girl was doing this and developing this extraordinary reputation as one of the founding figures of the study of fossils.
Her discovery made young Mary famous, and the fossils she found here were sold for large sums of money. She learned rapidly that the different limestone layers exposed by the slumping of the weak black clays contained fossils from different time periods.
She found a whole series of discoveries, and I suppose the most famous is the one that she made when she was a child. This is the first ichthyosaur to come to scientific attention, which caused a storm in London because it was such an unknown and unexpected animal.
The ichthyosaur, which means fish lizard, had a long pointed snout with sharp cutting teeth, unusually large eyes, and a body shape superbly equipped for rapid movement through the water, much like modern dolphins. Theirs was an award-winning design. They survived in seas around the world for over 150 million years.
They were beautifully streamlined, fast-swimming animals. Like dolphins, they also had to come up to breathe from time to time. I'm surprised I haven't seen one yet.
Scotland is not the only country haunted by a legendary sea dragon. Canada's most famous monster, Ogopogo, lives in Okanagan Lake, a deep finger lake in British Columbia. And the director of the Department of Fisheries for Quebec also officially announced that a strange, large animal is living in Lake Pohenegamook, the Indian word for monster. Could a few scattered ichthyosaurs be hiding out in North America? 200 million years ago, water covered much of present-day Nevada. Today, 3 hours from Reno, is Ichthyosaur State Park. Jennifer Hogler is the resident paleontologist. The main feature of the park is a collection of fossils so large it can't be moved and is protected by a building known as the Ark.
The most remarkable sight of all is right here. There are 9 or 10 animals packed very tightly together here, kind of like giant sardines in a really big can. This is a mass grave of ichthyosaurs.
How these creatures died and why so many were huddled together in one place remains a mystery. One theory is they beached themselves like whales. They simply got too close to the shore, got stuck, and died.
The problem with this theory is that these simply aren't beach sediments. The water here was at least 100 or more feet deep, well off the edge of the continental shelf.
They could have congregated at a rich food source, but there are other possibilities.
The most recent idea is that the ichthyosaurs used this area as a breeding ground. Again, just like modern animals, they would occasionally gather in large numbers to breed and to give birth.
Fossil evidence reveals that ichthyosaurs gave birth to live young, tail first like modern dolphins, to prevent them from drowning. A remarkable fossil in the Natural History Museum in London captures an ichthyosaur being born. The stress of the birth must have killed both mother and baby. Together, they drifted to the bottom to be frozen in time.
Perhaps the wildest theory of all is based on an ancient Indian legend that says there used to be really, really big fish swimming in ancient Lake Lahontan off to the west of here. And then one day there was a great cataclysm in which the mountains roared, the earth shook, and the sky turned black. and after that, the big fish were seen no more. The theory is that those big fish were actually ichthyosaurs, still alive just 4,000 years ago. And the cataclysm was the impact of a large meteorite that landed in the lake and splashed the broken bodies of these ichthyosaurs 100 miles to where they landed here on the hillside where we find them today.
The largest ichthyosaur found in the park was 56 feet long, and this is a pretty good representation of what it looked like. 19th century artists envisioned ichthyosaurs gulping prey in a sea filled with bizarre creatures. Their huge jaws and lethal-looking teeth made ichthyosaur look like a killer dolphin from hell.